Ladies and gentlemen, namaskar. Welcome to the 15th edition of the Jaipur Literature Festival, protected by the tall Banega Swasth India at the front lawn. We bring to you first edition Open House. In Open House, Piyush Pandey takes the readers on a journey into his mind, his work, thoughts, and experiences. He answers questions posed to him by people over the decades. Serious questions, incisive questions, and frivolous questions. Is advertising a good career option? Should advertising agencies work for political parties? Why does Ogilvy work for the BJP? What is the future of advertising? Is Piyush Pandey too old to be in this business? Honest, irreverent, and informative. Open House will entertain and enlighten you. Piyush Pandey and Anant Rangaswami in conversation with Dr. Sashi Tharoor and Roy Phoenix. Piyush Pandey is chairman of Global Creative and executive chairman of Ogilvy India. He was awarded the Lifetime Achievement Award by the Advertising Agencies Association of India, Clio Lifetime Achievement Award, Padma Shri, and the Lion of St. Mark, along with his brother, Prasoon Pandey at Cannes. His first book, Pandeymonium, is on his life and times in advertising. Ogilvy India has been India's #1 creative agency for over 2 decades, and Pandey has been named the Economic Times most influential person 14 years in a row. Ogilvy was the first advertising job that he got, and that's where he continues to be. Sashi Tharoor, a third-term member of parliament from Thiruvananthapuram, is the best-selling author of 23 books, both fiction and non-fiction, besides being a former Under-Secretary General of the United Nations and a former Minister of State for Human Resource Development and for External Affairs in the Government of India. He's won numerous awards, including the Pravasi Bharatiya Samman, a Commonwealth Writers' Prize, and the Crossword Lifetime Achievement Award. In 2019, he was also awarded the Sahitya Academy Award in the category of English non-fiction for his book, An Era of Darkness. Anant Rangaswami is the editor of Melt, a former advisor to Unmetric, and the former editor of Storyboard, the advertising media and marketing show on CNBC TV18. Roy Phoenix, aka Kaushik Roy, has spent 4 decades as a creative communicator and was inducted into the International Advertising Association's Hall of Fame in 2019. He has had several art exhibitions at prestigious venues. He wrote his first script at the age of 15 and has continued to write and direct films. On that note, I would request everyone on the panel to please come and unveil the book's cover. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, first edition presents Open House. And now to all the decorated individuals on the stage, it's all for you.
Okay, now I have to first say that I've known Piyush for many, many years. And the first thing that came to my mind was we keep doing many events in advertising. And we've often wanted Piyush to do the moderating role, right? So he's always told us that I don't do anything in moderation. So nothing is meant to be that. Everything is extreme for me. So Piyush, all I know is that there are 2 good friends sitting over here. And my job is just to let this conversation flow. And the only thing that I've discovered from the little bit that I've read, which is really the first chapter, is that there's so much in common. I mean, apart from the fact that you have been college buddies, there's so much in common in what you've written and politics. And the fact that there is an open house, which you've spoken about, the open house basically means that, ideas and conversations and discussions flow from every side. And I suppose that happens for you too. I mean, without that, I guess you can't sort of decide who you're talking to. And you're talking about in your book that you're basically here to sort of create communication that changes opinions and changes the way people actually behave. So I suppose that's a big role which you play too. I guess this is now the time for you to have that conversation. And Anant over here, please add in.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
thanks, Kaushik.
Yeah, you should have the first word since it's your book.
Thanks, Kaushik.
All right, then let me say the second word, which is that I knew Piyush as a cricket star. In college, this was his thing. I don't think that, anything less than 80% of our conversations in college weren't about cricket. He was obsessed and he was good at it. And, this was the star of the future we were looking forward to producing. And he ended up instead becoming the greatest ad guru in the country, which is a nice evolution. But, he talks about this book. It's very interesting because a few years ago, he published sort of basically his memoirs. This is not exactly a memoir. It's kind of a how-to book. It's an advice book. It's responses to questions that he says people have asked him and that he's heard all his life. Everything from whether he waxes his mustache, which very clearly he doesn't. He was known as the disheveled man from Ogilvy, right?
Correct.
Right down to other questions, including the political question you asked. And Piyush was saying, let's not talk about politics on the stage, but I think it's impossible to avoid.
Absolutely.
Because one of the questions in the book is, how could you accept the account of the BJP? And he said, I support the BJP and its policies. But I was saying to Piyush, I've known him for a long time, but equally from the book, it's obvious he doesn't support the BJP's policies. He talks with pride of the fact that his sister's married a Muslim. He talks about a chef called Qureshi, who's working with food he loves. He talks about so many other things that show his basic sort of, if you like, Stephanian faith in the diversities of India, in the multiple. And this is exactly what the BJP has, the well that has been toxically poisoned by the BJP. So he clearly doesn't agree with them, but he's taken their account, the cynic.
You know what, Piyush, at this point, I've just to mention.
That's Shashi for you. He didn't tell you about the rest of the 20% of my time in college, where I was busy borrowing his notes so I could pass my exams also. So,
and you were also supporting the big cheerleader for his debating. So
I was
for my presidential election.
Yes, I also was called in like a junior artist in one of the Shakespeare Society plays. So I played more than cricket. And coming to Shashi's question, I will not ask him embarrassing questions. I've rest of my life to handle it. But for Shashi's, so that we can take this conversation towards the book, I'll just share with you, after the 2014 elections in this city, with one of your sponsors of this thing, I was on stage and somebody asked me, I said, what campaign would you have done? Were you doing it for your dear party, for your dear man? I said, listen, I'm an advertising professional practitioner. I'm not a magician. So more about it later.
Well, I've been scraping by so far, but all I can tell you is that as far as our party is concerned, your point that some magic is required is absolutely justified. But you still haven't answered the question. You still haven't answered the question about the policies that you support.
I have another question for you.
Achha.
And I wish you the best. See, a party means a number of people. I think you start putting them together now. But 2 or 3 people don't make a party. Sashi, you're going to be left out.
All right, now we can get back to the book. Actually, there's some great stories in the book, so I think it's only fair because when you go through this, in fact, Piyush talks about the fact that this is like, what is it, Chaggu's Chaubara, right? Chajju. Tell them about it. They don't know what that is.
Yeah. In fact, when Anant and I were discussing the book, and we said that we're going to invite questions from people that I could not answer when I came out of an institute after speaking. Number of people walking down, they wanted, or when I was at 5 minutes in a smoking lounge of the airport, somebody came and said, sir, I've got this new business. I couldn't do justice. So we asked for those questions. Now, Chajju ka Chaubara comes from You will read it in the book. There was a place in Lahore where there was a chap called Chhajju Bhagat. And he was kind of a person who answered everybody's questions, and he used to have a place which was open, anyone could enter. So
The
if
Google of his era.
Sorry?
He was the Google of his era.
Yeah. In my last book, I said I don't need Google because my family Google's bigger. So he was a Jnani and things. I'm not a Jnani. I am an advertising practitioner. And so a lot of questions came into my Chaubara, where I was sitting. It was free for all. Anyone could ask a question. And I've given it my best shot in trying to answer them.
And he's covered a really vast area of topics. And I think, since his co-author is sitting here, I should probably step back and let you talk about it. But I mean, I think anyone who's interested in entering the advertising profession would gain an enormous amount of insights. And I must say, as a reader, that I found it written with amazing clarity and lucidity, as well as simplicity. So it's very easy for anyone to get into. A couple of very revealing anecdotes about the man as well, including something where perhaps most of us would have behaved differently. He gets headhunted for a job by a very famous gentleman whom I know. And the guy says to him, gives him a blank check and says, "Write your fare." And young Piyush gets up, returns the check and says, "Sorry for wasting your time," and walks out. Now, can you tell us why you were so offended when someone dictate your salary?
No, first thing he said was, "Write your fare." And I told him, "I'm not a taxi." And then I said bye to him and walked out. I think any relationship is a two-way relationship of respect. You go into somebody and throw some money and say, "Give me this." I don't think that's correct. And as an advertising person, I think you need to have a conversation rather than somebody dictating something. I was offended with that.
Interesting.
Well, at this stage, I think, Anant, you as a curator, you should tell us a little bit about this whole journey of, working with Piyush.
It's interesting because I've been today, a few people have walked up to me and said, "You wrote this book." I said, "No, Piyush wrote this book. I extracted the words from him." And no, I'm not joking. So if I explain the process of how we did it, then you'll understand where it is. So we put a recorder between ourselves. I ask him questions and he answers. So the words are his. Now, I would say I'm a writer if I write the words. The words belong to me. Words don't belong to me. Words are his. So the magic is extracting stuff out of him. So keep provoking him till great stuff comes out. So that's the process. So the bonus is this book was written, both books were written in Goa. So I spent 15 days in Goa, have some amazing, not approved by BJP food, stuff like that. So it's good fun, so yeah, it's a delight.
Piyush, one of the things that I have to mention is that I've only been allowed to read the first chapter, and I have counted the word passion has come 5 times. And I also realize that seems like the essential in both your cases. Talk a little bit about it, because that's what I've seen in you.
See, for a person like me, there are 2 things that guide people. Some people are driven by passion, and I'm driven by passions. That's why it's coming up.
Well said. Well said.
What about you, Dr. Thakur?
I'm driven by passion. I'm not sure I'd be where I am otherwise. But the thing is that I think it's actually a hallmark of most people who actually try and achieve something, particularly something out of the ordinary or out of what the predictable path might be for them, is passion. And I must say, Piyush really did embark on something quite unpredictable. As I said, wouldn't have surprised many of us to see him playing a very high order of cricket till well into his 30s or even later, a bit later, and develop a career there, maybe become a coach, whatever. Instead, what does he do? He goes into something which, honestly, I don't think in our college, if you'd conducted a poll that, what is Piyush's most likely career, advertising would have featured in it. He has this deliberately cultivated rustic manner and this fondness for bilingual wit and all of that, which is great, fitted in very well at St. Stephen's. But would it go into the then very refined and Anglophile world of Bombay advertising? I think most of us would have assumed not. But Piyush not only entered that world, he conquered it, he transformed it. He brought his own style into our advertising and made the country aware of a different way of seeing things and indeed of being attracted to products. So it's a remarkable transformation. I've always enjoyed the fact that Piyush and all that he's accomplished could not have been predicted. And it's his passion that has taken him down a path that was not predicted.
Well, as far as passion is concerned, there's a little plug for a city called Kolkata. First job in Kolkata, schooling in Kolkata. Yeah, all of us, Kolkata. So that's where the passion comes from. And I have to tell you that I can't see that screen.
Now
so if I overshoot...
Now that's a dangerous one. There's a third party coming in.
Well, we were told that there are lots of people over here who could be asking questions. And at the same time, I was also told if the conversation is such that don't ask questions or don't let them. But if your theme is about an open house, it's about questions coming from every side, it would be extremely unfair if you don't add some questions.
I would never do it. I just have one question myself. Shashi, can you stay on a little longer? It'll be fun.
No, because I have my own session. I have a session right there in the Darbar Hall at 4:40. So I've got to abandon you and go and answer somebody, Veer Sanghvi's questions.
I think we have time for that. So
we have a few minutes more.
Yeah, we will take some questions. Go ahead. Okay, the prettiest hand, I suppose I was told I could select. Okay, right at the back. I think that's the best way to start, not the ones in front. Yeah, there's one behind you, but it's all right.
Thank you so much.
Keep it brief and make it a question, please, and not a statement. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much. Mr. Pandey, my question is with regards to evolution of advertising in the cricketing sphere. There was a time when T20 was not there. Now T20 has come. The advertisements were 30 seconds, 20 seconds. Now, even between the balls, we are seeing that screen getting shortened. So what are the things as far as evolution of advertising during cricket match has evolved over the last 20 years?
I think one is that it's pushing you hard into shorter duration ideas. That's one. Two is it's also pushing you into bad advertising. And I think it's time that advertisers took up a stance and said, I'm not going to make my ideas as per your sizing. So they'll have to find a compromise somewhere. So it'll either be compromising ideas or standing up and fighting.
Hello, sir. My question comes from advertising agency because I work in one. How do you manage your ethics as a person and work in an advertising agency knowing that you don't support that product?
You have to. I've been advertising a lot of sanitary napkins also. For years, I worked for Johnson & Johnson. So you got to alienate yourself. I know that I'm talking to a lady when I'm talking sanitary napkins. I have to be sensitive to the receiver and not what I think. So every advertising has to be designed for the receiver. I may or may not be the user. If David Ogilvy did some great advertising for Rolls-Royce, he couldn't be a user at that point of time, nor did the client give it to him for free. So you got to get used to it.
Yeah. Right in front of you. Yeah.
Hello, sir. I have a question because I'm also working in advertising agency, and so there's a lot of work-life balance related issue in the agency life, as we call it. What would be your suggestion to the managers and founders of agencies to help us, the workers in the agency, have a work-life balance?
I think the number one thing is we should not take ourselves as the poor guys who have got the brunt of it. Ask him, the politician, does he have any hours? No, I'm saying it with all sincerity. They have no hours. I see them working very, very hard. They have no timings. They have places to go which might be in rural areas. Look at anybody else. everyone is working hard. Now, work-life balance is between yourselves and your superiors to figure out. It can't be formatted in advertising. But there should be sensitivity that if you worked late till last night, and if I were to be your boss, I should say, take the day off. So it can't be formatted like a 10 to 5 work, but you can find a better format if you're sensitive to your people.
Does work from home come into your calculations, especially since we've been hearing so much about this during the pandemic?
Yeah, Shashi, work from home was a fantastic answer to a problem. It's not an answer to advertising problems. When you work together next to each other, there is body language. There is little bit that you might say to me, and I say, hello, I'll wait. I might improve on my idea. Now that doesn't happen on a Zoom call. So yes, we need people to come back. Yes, we have to be sensitive about their coming back. We are making it gradual, but shortly, I think we should thank the concept of work from home and get back to work from where it's supposed to be done.
Okay, no, I mean, I can see the merit of that, because certainly in the education space, there's a lot of excitement initially about teaching kids online. And now everyone's realized that's been a disaster. The kids cannot concentrate for that long. Teachers can't relate to the kids. They can't really figure out who's paying attention, who's absorbed an idea, or whatever. Interrelationships have gone down. And now everyone's saying we need kids back in the classroom and not online. So the same thing applies at work.
Absolutely correct, Shashi. My own theory is, now that some people have got into the habit of staying at home, so my next note is going to be, your children are going home to school, their teachers are going to school. What are you doing at home?
Okay, one last question right in front over here. If you can quickly hand over the mic. Yeah.
पीयूष जी, अगर एडवर्टाइजर नहीं होते तो क्या होते?
ऐसी की तैसी हो जाती मेरी। तो क्रिकेटर तो हो नहीं सका, वो आपको एक स्टेज पे मालूम पड़ जाता है कि आपका लेवल यहाँ पे है। I don't know, but I know that I would have been doing something that gave me joy. I don't know what. I would have loved to have said to myself, oh, I'm looking forward to the next day. Whether it was selling samosas or being a pitch roller at a cricket match, I don't know. But I promise you, I would have made life beautiful for myself.
Okay, since it's a Chaju ka Chaubara, I'm told that I can take one more question. Okay. Okay, there's somebody over there at the corner. I think she deserves a mic. Yeah, there. Behind you, yeah, in white. Yeah.
Good evening, all. So it's my much, I was waiting for this question to ask Dr. Tharoor. So if you may please. Sir, what is more difficult to tackle, your vocabulary or your iconic hair flick? Sir, I'm dying for 3 days to ask this question. You're the flag bearer.
Is there any word I've used today you found difficult to understand? Right? So, not difficult. Have I been flicking my hair this afternoon? I don't know, because I don't do it consciously. So far the answer is neither. Right? But I was going to say, when the lady in front asked Piyush that question, there's not without a reason that advertising is known as the second oldest profession.
All thanks to him, sir. I am able to voice for last 3 days. I was just dying to ask this question.
I'll let you know if he's using any wax or something.
No,
So the magic of Chachu has happened that you've been able to ask that question,
Yes, sir.
right? So all thanks to Piyush. I believe we are timed out now.
There's this guy in front who was getting quite excited.
Okay, somebody in front wanted to, okay. Quickly, yeah.
हेलो पीयूष सर मैं आपसे ये पूछना चाह रहा था कि जैसे आपने अकाउंट डायरेक्टर से शुरू करके और जो इतनी सारी फिल्में लिखी, तो लाइक आई एम आल्सो इन एडवर्टाइजिंग और मैं आर्ट से हूँ, तो वो जो कॉपीराइट, मैंने फिल्में भी लिखी हैं, लेकिन जो कॉपीराइटर्स के साथ में एक आर्ट वाले का जो फ्रिक्शन होता है हमेशा, वो काफी डिफिकल्ट हो जाता है। तो आपने कैसे ओवरकम किया बीइंग एन लाइक अकाउंट डायरेक्टर और फिर आज तो आप
art, it's an audiovisual medium that we deal with. Art person is equally important. Sitting somewhere at the back is my partner for many years, Rajiv Rao, who's designed the cover of this book. Rajiv, can you get up and say hi? And the previous book. He is also the man who is behind the Vodafone Zuzus, all created by him. So if I don't respect him, I am a dead man. So that's how art people and copy people live together. Like if one batsman is out, the other one is left not out to go back. So we have to work as partners.
Well, that's been wonderful. And I just have to tell you one thing, that for those of you who are from advertising will naturally be gravitating towards this wonderful book. But let me tell the others who are not in advertising, you know, this is a book which the little that I've read is actually for everybody, because it tackles questions which are not necessarily advertising related. It's life in general. So that's a wonderful book, which is all in the form of questions and answers. And thank you very much, Piyush. Thank you very much, Dr. Tharoor and Anant. It was wonderful.
Thank you, Kaushik. Thank you, Anant. Thank you, Shashi. Great to catch up with an old friend.
And good luck for the success of this book.
And banter humorously for a while.
And now come to my session in the Darbar Hall right away.